Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching Global Defense Report. I'm Anchor Name, and tonight's biggest breaking story comes from the United States. Washington is mobilizing its forces across three major war fronts: Ukraine, Gaza, and the South China Sea. The Pentagon has placed its military on high alert. Let's begin with the situation in Ukraine. Today, the Pentagon announced a new $5 billion defense package for Ukraine. It includes Patriot missile systems, Hamas rocket launchers, and advanced drones. Washington says this support is critical to counter Russia's expected winter offensive. Moscow has condemned the move as a provocation and warned that if NATO crosses Russian borders, a nuclear response is possible. This announcement has sparked deep concern across Europe. Now to the Middle East. Washington, in coordination with Qatar, has launched humanitarian ceasefire talks between Israel and Hamas. But Israel's hardline ministers are resisting. The U.S. Secretary of State has warned that if a ceasefire fails, the entire region could plunge into a wider war. At the same time, American F-35 jets and aircraft carriers are deployed in the eastern Mediterranean, prepared for escalation. Turning to the Indo-Pacific, the U.S. Navy's USS Ronald Reagan carrier strike group conducted a freedom of navigation operation in the South China Sea. Beijing strongly protested, scrambling warships and fighter jets, accusing Washington of threatening regional peace. Experts warn that rising tensions could lead directly to a conflict over Taiwan. In Europe, NATO and the United States have begun their largest joint military exercise of 2025 in Poland and the Baltic states. Over 60,000 troops, 500 tanks, and dozens of fighter jets are involved. Moscow has called the exercise NATO aggression and deployed additional forces along its western borders. The Pentagon has confirmed that U.S. forces are now combat-ready on three fronts: Europe, the Middle East, and the Indo-Pacific. A retired U.S. general said, "America is fighting Cold War 2.0 on multiple fronts. This is the most dangerous moment since the Cuban Missile Crisis." Global reactions are pouring in. The European Union thanked Washington but warned that Europe cannot afford a direct NATO-Russia war. China accused the U.S. of escalating tensions. Russia openly threatened the use of nuclear weapons. And Arab states demanded Washington pressure Israel into accepting a ceasefire in Gaza. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight's breaking story is clear. America is increasing readiness across three war fronts simultaneously. Ukraine, Gaza, and the South China Sea are all heating up at once. Experts say the coming weeks could be decisive. Will American diplomacy succeed, or is the world edging closer to a new world war? That's all for tonight's Global Defense Report. We'll continue to monitor this developing story. I'm Anchor Name. Good night. Thank you for watching. Video like, share, and subscribe to my channel.